Welcome to Guest Talks with Tracy Arvon, bringing you special guest interviews from musictalks.xyz.
Hi everybody, it's Tracy Arvon here from Music Talks, and for our guest talks today, oh my gosh, if you don't know this woman, I don't know where you've been. Oh, I guess those younger people have an excuse if they weren't around, but can I just say, this woman is one of the music that I used to listen to and I used to dance to in my lounge room, you know, bouncing from wall to wall. One of her huge songs, I mean, she's had many hits. She's from America. She's had a huge hit. The big one that I really like I said, I danced around a lot with, was finally welcome to Guest Talks, CeCe Peniston.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. So, man, it's so funny when I hear you talk about me. I'm like, there's a couple of people that do that to me. I'm bouncing off of walls to their music. So thank you so much for the love, sweetie. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I really did. And that finally track, you know, I just love it. You know, in fact, I was playing it last night. And then I played the remix version. And it changed my whole mood. You know,
oh, I'm smiling.
You know, so and you know that's the beauty of music, isn't it? And I was feeling really, I wasn't feeling too great last night, let's just say, and I was in a really kind of a shitty mood, right? So
yes.
I was sitting down and I said, I don't want to do anything. I kind of felt like that, right? You know, those things. It's like you got so much to do, and it's like, oh, I just want to do nothing. And so
yes.
I put my Bluetooth speaker on, and then I thought, oh, I know what I'm going to listen to, because I knew I'm going to be speaking to CeCe tomorrow. I'm going to revisit my teenage years. And I blasted this song, and I swear my kids was going, what is going on? It was so loud, and I was dancing. I got up and just started dancing. Now, you know, and when they see your mum, you know, acting crazy, they go, So, listen, you've had a lot of hits, right? Even before, before finally came through. What were the other hits that you had? Was it Thought You Knew?
Well, you know what, Thought You Knew actually came after Finally. It's funny because my regular hits came after Finally. Now, what happened was I had done background vocals on another artist album. Her name was Overweight Pooch. She was on A&M Records at the time. And they said, we want you to do like 3 songs for her. Well, that came from this other song called Give It All You Got. Everybody's got to tell you how. You know what I'm saying? So it's called Give It All You Got. Marvelous JC. That was the first one. That was like 19 years old. Yeah. Then they did that when they said, well, hey, do you have any other songs? And finally came through. They're like, oh no, we got to finish an album. So in between me traveling, I'm traveling around the world. They're like, I'm like taking a day off, and they're like, okay, one more song down. So we did like a whole album within like 3 months with me traveling on the road in between doing shows.
No way. Yeah.
And just so you know, I relate to the congestion stuff. So if they hear me sounding like Luther Vandross right now, just so you know, I have some sinus stuff myself. So trust me when I tell you I get it. So just let them know. So
I was just going to say, oh my gosh, I know you're not feeling too well at the moment.
Yeah,
but
okay.
You just sung a few lines there and you still sound great to me. So.
Girl, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, look, I know you probably ask this question a lot, and I know that a lot of people ask when you have interviews, but I mean, when you started in music, did you have a background of music? It was in your family?
You know what, my mother was, so this is how entertainment was in my family. My mom used to do modern dance and ballet under Catherine Dunham. And so she was, you know, doing the dancing part of it. My older brother would sing sometime, but not like me. He was singing more in church. And I was the one that was the little brat running up and down the street in these little white boots, like, hey, you guys, just so you know, I'm going to be a star one day. They're like, yeah, right. Go out and play with your toys. Get out. I'm like, no, really, you guys. I said, my name is going to be up in the lights. You're like, yeah, time for lunch. And then it was like, they told me later, they're like, I don't know how you knew, but you just knew what you wanted to do when you were a little baby, like a little kid.
Yeah.
And it started off, and I didn't know how, because I had basically started off doing music and plays, which I didn't know until that time that I could actually do that. I was playing the piano and stuff like that, right? And then I ended up doing a stage play. And the lady said, my mom was like, when did you start singing again? She goes, I didn't even know you could sing. And I was like, well, neither did I to this degree. I said, but I know what I want to do with the damn rest of my life. And so I started doing, shows around Arizona, and people got to know me. So that's how everything came about.
Right. Okay. And you've also, was it since then? Oh, no, before then, you were preaching as well. Was your family very much into the gospel? Were you into the gospel choirs and the church choirs?
Well, I wasn't really into more the preaching part. My older brother would preach sometime, but I was in the choir. They say a lot of the singers always start off at like when they're little singing gospel songs. So I was the one who would get up and do leads in church. And so, that's how much after doing theater, I started doing church, choir. And then it went from there for me doing like karaoke, little shows. Because girl, I would win my school money. I'd be like, shoot, I'm about to get some new clothes. I thought I was cute too.
and you could win in karaoke. You could win
girl,
money.
Yes. Yeah, girl, yes. And that's the part I liked. It was talent shows and karaoke stuff. So that turned into me actually doing little shows that people would call me to do here in Arizona.
Oh, that's nice. And then obviously it grew from there.
Yes.
We don't have, there's only a few gospel, I think, choirs here in Sydney. Maybe I'm wrong. If anybody's listening, let me know, because I will be there. I absolutely love gospel R&B. I am so there. I grew up listening, to people like you, but I grew up listening to Aretha Franklin, and
I love all of it. Yes.
Which is kind of weird, because in Australia, it's R&B gospel. It's not really, our foundations here, if you know what I mean. But I don't know how as soon as I started hearing this from a very young age, that was just, I don't know what it is. It just clicked with me. And, whenever I just wish that we had more gospel stuff, because I would be there. I would be, a lot of singers here. I guess some do, choirs in church here, like, in that degree isn't such a huge thing. So, but we often hear it, in the States. That's where a lot of artists start from. So, yeah. So what? You've also done a lot of charity work as well. Is that?
Oh yeah. You know what? I always feel like, for me, I feel like I'm always getting so much back from God that I like to bless other people. And it started when I was younger. And I have a current foundation now called the Lots Foundation, and it means lifting others to succeed. And I liked that flow, because I feel like I can help different people. Like, I help people with scholarships, and if kids need instruments, I give them instruments if their parents can't afford to give them instruments, or it could be a computer. It could be just different things that will help them to be able to continue their dream. Just my little piece of happy, I call it, if I can.
Wow, that's just incredible. I can't help thinking, but in some degree, it'll be nice for the. I don't like getting into politics, but shouldn't the government be, helping these families out as well? But.
Oh my God! If they could quit tweeting and just get back to work, then maybe have something done. Stay off Twitter, guys. Like
Oh my God. That is hilarious.
We didn't have that before. They were concentrating in an office in the community. Now we have all this, the social media stuff. It's like, people, there's real people. There's not robots. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now, do you write your own music?
I did. I wrote Finally, and there was a couple of other songs that I wrote. And the thing that's nice about that is like, getting for me, it started off as poetry, which I still do some of now. In fact, Eileen, who, she was able to hook us up. Eileen, giving you a shout out, girlfriend. We love you, Eileen Shapiro. She heard me do some of my poetry, and I started that off in college because, it was always like, oh, no one understands what I feel right now. I want to write it down. And so I started writing it down, and the creative side of the poetry side ended up becoming a song. And I was like, oh, this is how it works. And then I understood how you could turn a poem into a song. It was a formula of, verse. It's like intro, verse, chorus. Yeah. Maybe, you got you know what I'm saying? And then so once you start learning the formula, you understand how songs work, then you go from there. What's funny now is you don't have a lot of songs that have just intro. They don't have the same formula. People want to hear the hook over and over and over again. Yeah. And it's it's more sing-songy. I mean, there are some artists out there that are real artists that would just like, Fantasia was one of those people, Faith Evans. There's certain artists that continue that, but you have to know, and I'm sure you know this from our era, music has drastically changed from 80s, 90s music and the way that it sounds, even 2000s.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible. It's almost like, I think anything goes. It's almost like but it doesn't quite go. If you know what I mean.
No,
I think they like to think that it goes, and I guess that all comes in that whole independent world. People are doing just what they want. However, they expect, I think, they expect their songs or wonder why they're not maybe going anywhere. And it's like people like familiarity. I can't say that word.
No, you got it.
Yeah, there's some words I can't say. I don't know what it is, but anyway, people like to be familiar with what they're listening to and what they're used to and what they're hearing, and you'll find that a lot of the songs that make it, I guess, quite big do have this very common elements through it.
You know what I think? Yeah, I have to definitely. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your thought. Finish going. It's kind of like y'all. Just so you know, we're kind of bumped, like listen to each other. So I thought she was done with her thought. Finish your thought.
Yeah, that's it. I was just going to say, they like to be familiar, and although people, we say try to be original, nothing really is original, if you know what I mean. People have ideas and they blend them and fuse them together, but when it comes to things like formats and people get used to that. They get familiar with that. It's always been that kind of, like you said, that verse or two verses, bridge, chorus.
Yes, there you go, an outro. And it's so funny because it's become saturated. This market has become saturated. You don't know who's who. One thing about 80s, 90s, 2000s music that was prior, you knew who the artists were. Yeah. It's like reality TV stations used to be music channels where people would rush home to see who the next video was. Yeah. There was a certain mystique about the artist where you couldn't just touch the artist. Yeah. And I think that left us like, who are they? Like it created a mystery where people were more interested, and now it's like people can actually say what they feel. The social media is actually, if you didn't hit me back. She didn't hit me back. I'm unfollowing her. You're like, wait a minute, I got like 100,000 followers. Yeah. Can I get her back? Yeah. So I think that for instance, I was somewhere at a party, right? And you know how you hear that song, living my best life. Mm-hmm. I go back and forth and Little Ball, right? Yeah. So people don't know that's Atlantic Star. So I was somewhere and they started dancing. They were like, wait a minute, what's that? I said, see, y'all don't even know where the hell stuff comes from. You're over here tripping thinking that's Little Ball song. You got that from Atlantic Star, who is actually the person that did the original. So it's just funny to see the transition from how people react. They hear something and they're thinking it's the artist that they hear now, and they hear the actual lyrics and they're like, oh. And then they act Bonnie style, and they were like, no, it ain't like that. I said, yes, it is. I said, you better pay homage to the artist that did this first. And they started laughing. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I understand what you're saying. The music is saturated and it's different, whereas we would put out a song and work it for a year. Mm-hmm. Now they want songs every 3 months.
Yeah. And it's because, I think it's because there's so many, it's out there. Everybody has a chance to get their stuff out there. But the problem with this now is that you can't break through. You're like a needle in a haystack. So
definitely. In fact, it's so funny because people hear that song by Lizzo, right? Yeah. Ooh. I say, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. That is my okay? I was like, wait a minute. Who's to my Who is to my That is my I've been doing that for 29 years. So it's like someone would hear that and think I jacked her. Do you know what I'm saying? Because of the current thing. And I looked at this, I found a commercial and I was like, she was like, I was like, wait a minute. What is going on?
Then you come running in right when you hear it. And it's like, what is that?
You're like, what is going on? Yeah. And it's like, so basically, I agree with you. Nothing new under the sun. Everything has been reworked. Music is music, but it's just, people should take a note off the vets that are still traveling with the 80s and 90s and 2000s, that if it's so saturated and we don't know who everybody is, that in like 10 years these same people are not going to be traveling because it's not going to be hot again. There's going to be another trend. And it's so, we need to concentrate on again creating classics like we used to.
Oh yeah, agree 100%. And I often say, there's just so much faceless music, and that's what basically we're talking about. And I was going through Instagram last night as well, and I was just checking out what there is and how it's changed, and looking at all these people singing. And do you know what? You wouldn't know who is one person from another. There were all these young talent, and everybody going, this is great, but you sound like the other person. You just sound the same. Where's your own style? Okay, there's a lot of great singers out there, but what makes them different to everybody else? What makes them stand like you? Just because somebody would have a great voice, it doesn't mean to say they just need to kind of, just push it and trying to show off the fact that they've got a great voice, because everyone's doing that. They've got to have great songs. And they've got to have a unique style. They've got to really think about who they are as an artist. And this is where they're all it's becoming a mishmash of whatever,
I definitely agree with you. Trust me. And one day people, when it's too late, are going to see like, dang, we really didn't, create our classics like we should have. But what it does is when that happens is people start saying, okay, we're going to change how we do this. And it's like, that's why you're seeing the resurgence of a lot of the 90s and 80s shows and 80s and 90s artists doing what they do, because people realize, hey, at these festivals and like people like the Baltic Sea coming up, they want, or Kissatory. Kissatory is a straight like 90s music out in London, which I'll be doing coming up. And so, they want the 90s stuff. So, that makes it nice to be able to go over someplace across the world and people still love you and still give you love and say, no, this is what I grew up on. And I noticed that about Australia because I was there on tour with Carl Cox and Eric. And last year in December, and it was me and Robin S. And so that was the thing that made it nice, is because I didn't know, besides Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, how much people love that music. In fact, I got a funny story. I came into Australia, right? I'm in the airport, and I'm taking my camera out, and I see Priscilla, Queen of the Desert on Broadway, and I'm like, click, and they're like, ma'am, you cannot take any click. Yes, ma'am. She said, ma'am, don't take any click pictures. I said, okay, ma'am. She said, ma'am. I said, I took like 4 pictures. I was in trouble. But I was like, you don't understand. This is a poem that turned to a song in 1991. I need to take a picture of this in the airport. She was, and my friends were like, you're so stupid. Like, are you going to keep taking pictures? I was like, I had to get the shot.
Wow.
She was laughing.
Oh, I can't believe they wouldn't let you take pictures. That's
yeah, girl. I was like, I'm going to get this picture. And while she was talking, I was clicking. Yes, ma'am. Click.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do that to anybody else, but it was my own body of work, and I wanted it. I wanted that picture. I'm like, when you walk into the airport in Australia and you see your song advertised in a play, that was a little poem when I was 21.
Yeah.
And that was the caption.
So what happened? What happened through the process of that song finally making it into the movie? How did you feel about that? How did that all come about?
That was just like such a great resurgence because Finally had been out for about like 6 or 7 years, and they were like, "Hey, Finally's in this new movie," and I was like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, they got this 7 minute, thing that they're doing." I was like, "Are you serious?" They're like, "Yeah." I said, "I've got to see it." So I went and saw the movie. I was like, "Oh, this is dope." I was like, how could give a better, presentation or dedication than this? And I'm so popular in the LGBT community. Yeah. Saw the movie, loved it. And it's funny thing is it's still going on to this day. It has like 3 different cities that they're doing like theater production, and it's been on, Hulu and Amazon Prime, the streaming channels. So I have a great memory, and I'm gonna say this because I know Mother's Day is coming up.
Yes.
And I actually lost my mother, but this is one of our great memories together. I lost her in October, and she's up there holding me up with her rhinestone angel wings up in heaven right now. So I want to give love to her. We actually went to London together, and I was like, "Ma, they want us to go see Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and they're going to give us free tickets, for everything, VIP treatment stuff." I said, "It's on Broadway." And she was like, "Okay, let's go." So we ended up going and seeing the play, and we were both just kind of emotional. And she was like, "Wow." She said, "I would have never thought the little girl running down the street in the boots saying, 'I'm going to have my name up in lights,' would be here now with her. I would be here with you now watching this stage play in a whole nother country." And so it was just like such an epic moment. So I thank God that it's still running today. People are still downloading it and stuff like that. So
yeah, it is incredible. And when you just said that your mum would mention, what the fact that you actually wrote this as a little girl, and you said you wanted to, or not a little girl, but you wrote it as a teenager, and you knew as a little girl that now you look at this time, and did you think, wow, like what do you think about that? What?
I actually, I did think, wow. And you know what? For me, it's like, I feel like God sends those angel moments to you, even as an artist, because when you get to 29, 30 years, sometimes people lose their love of performing because it's like they've been doing it for so long. They're like, "I don't like doing this," And for me, I'm like, no, I love the singing part. I just don't like the other bullshit in between. I'm like, I don't like the other stuff. I said, but I get to play Barbie. I get to dress up. I said, I get to look out in the audience, and, I'm looking, and there's a whole body of audience in different places in the world that say, "Hey, we love what you do, and please keep doing it." And those are the things like in between me feeling like, God, this could be a lot of the other stuff in life happening in between. When I hit the stage and I grab the mic, I'm like, this is why I do what I do. I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
Do you have kids?
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
I don't. I actually don't. And that's actually was a part of my journey in life that people don't know a lot about. But I was pregnant. I was having 2 pregnancies. And I say that to say that sometimes people don't know sometimes with the artist how we have to go up on stage after things like that. And those are the things when I say life happens sometime, and then 3 weeks later you're still kind of sad and you're on a stage having to sing like, "Hey, finally," and you're like, "No, I'm not feeling so finally-ish right now." So but I'm still blessed. I'm still blessed. God has another mission for me.
Yeah, look, I can send you mine if you want.
Look, I'm a great auntie. Just so you know, we just got a new niece. Look, my mom, on New Year's Eve, so in October, my mom passed, and I have a new little niece, and we love her. Like, her name is Alina, and I named her, did her middle name, which is Lyric. So her name is Alina Lyric, and so the family's having a great time with her because she's so little and cute, and she's starting to laugh now and get her personality. So yeah, she's adorable.
Oh gosh, I love babies, but I won't go there. So now tell us what are you up to now? What are you doing? Do you have anything new coming out or?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
A lot of good things. Oh yeah, girl.
Because I just don't know. Eileen hasn't told me anything.
She wanted me to tell you. Look. So I put out a song last year with my label, which was called CeCe Peniston, Inc. The past 2 years, I become a really good entrepreneur, as far as taking care of my own business. So that came from my label.
Right.
Also did a song called Are You Ready? That I actually performed in in Australia when I was there with Eric and them, and they loved it. It was brand new and they still reacted. I was like, yes.
Wow.
It's called Are You Ready? With a group called 480 East. It's doing really well on Spotify.
Okay.
Then I also did, I know you're going to love this one because, this one I did a jazz project with a man named Bob Baldwin.
Okay.
And he did a remake of Fool on the Hill by the Beatles. And he gave it a whole little different slant. It was kind of like Don't Ask My Neighbor from Don't Ask My Neighbor. Remember that song?
Yeah.
So it was like the Fool on the Hill and Don't Ask My Neighbor mixed together. You have to hear it. So I did that. I'm also training for another. So I did a fitness competition in 2014, an NPC bodybuilding competition where I trained for 6 months.
What?
And yeah, girl, it's on my Instagram, girl. I was size. Yeah. So I did that. I was like a size 2. If you look on my Instagram, you can see all the pics. You have to scroll down.
I'm going
So
right
this
now.
year. This year, they asked me to do the Mr. Olympia. One of the gentlemen, Jay Hammett from Bod TV, he said, hey, CeCe, we would love for you to come to Mr. Olympia. And, we would love to, have you be one of our ambassadors. We noticed that you were one of the only female entertainers to do a fitness competition on your own. And I was like, oh, I would love to come. So this year in September, not only celebrating my birthday, I'll be at the Mr. Olympia contest as one of their ambassadors. And so what they're doing is when I'm going around, I'm training with the Olympians.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So So
okay. So you must be fit.
You know what? People tell me they're like you look great. Like I'll be 50 next year. They're like, you look great. You're in good shape. And I'm like, well, thank you. I'm like, when I do that kind of shape, that is like a whole nother thing. It's meal prep. It is taking your supplements every day, magnesium, you're different, just to keep in shape.
Yeah.
It's drinking a lot of water. It's the working out. It can be rigorous. And so I just want you to know, I'm not going to actually compete, but I told them, I said, look, but I want to be in that great a shape when I step next to them. And they go, she did the work.
Wow. And so
because she did it.
Have you always been fit?
I haven't. I was actually the fluctuator when I was younger. I would be smaller 1 minute and then bigger, and then didn't understand. And that was because I didn't know how to eat. And not knowing how to eat. And I'm like, I only ate one thing. They said, well, what the hell did you eat? I said, well, I had a hamburger, fries, and Coke. That's all I had. They're like, okay, well, you had just 2,000 calories just now. Hello?
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I learned, but what it did for me, it really brought me on a lifestyle change to eating healthier and understand how calories work, that when you cheat, it not only throws you back 3 days from where you were, now it takes another 3 days to get back to where, you gain a little weight, then it takes 3 days to get back from that point. So you're actually throwing yourself back a week when you cheat. So, I learned about sugars and flours, and I also went to an allergist, a food allergist, because I was like having, stomach issues. My stomach is very sensitive. And I said, Doc, I'm not really losing weight. I don't know why. It's still like I'm eating like crab and stuff, and I'm still looking bloated. And she said, well, that's because you're eating crab 3 times a week and you're allergic to it. And I was like, really?
So, okay, when you started this mission to become healthy, I mean, a lot of us, I'm terrible with this. I would start and I'd feel great, and 4 weeks would go by and I feel great, and suddenly I can get into my pants again, and I'm still fluctuate. And I mean, I'm 50 now, and I actually was in better shape a year ago than what I am now, but I guess it's because I'm always sitting down. I'm always just working, and I keep thinking in my head, that's it, I've got to start back again. I know what to do. Did you ever have that point where you just knew what to do, you knew what worked, but then you'd slip back, and then
yes,
it might
that's
be
called
months.
life.
And I know, and then you start thinking, right, I got to do this. I just got to get up early in the morning. I just got to start. And then it takes so hard. It's so hard to get to that point. But once you get there, you go, I wish I'd done this sooner.
Well, you know what? I feel like really life does happen. I'm going to be honest with you. Last thing on my mind, especially from October on with everything my mind was like, I want to be like in shape right now. I'm like, leave me the hell alone. I don't really feel like working out. I want to eat fat girl food. I'm sad right now. I don't want to care.
Yeah.
And you know it. But once I started making up my mind and saying, hey, you know what? I need to get back onto my healthy thing. Once the beginning of the year started, like a little bit after that, I started eating differently. I felt differently. Your light is different. And I started just getting back into it a little bit at a time. I didn't just go, okay, I'm cold turkey right now. No, I started a little bit by little, just cutting back and saying, hey, because you can't, I just have to really say that you really can't really account for everything that's just going to happen in your life and your response to it. But what you can do is when you find out what your response was, like the extra 16 pounds I had gained, then you go,
I hear
okay, girl, once you look and figure out, okay, there's like 10 or 12 pairs of pants I can't fit in here, and you go, okay, you know what, let me just I call it my reset. Let me reset. Let me do it better from this point forward, and then just go from there, because life's going to happen and you can't always help it.
Yeah, I love the idea of reset. Let's reset. That's great. Yeah, I'm going to take that one. I was going to, this is typical of me, I was thinking last night, I'm going to try to get to bed early. I didn't tweet. I didn't set up any tweets through the night, which is really unusual for me because, like I said, I was feeling pretty crappy last night. But when I started playing your song finally, I was dancing, going, that's how I can start getting fit again. I can start putting on my favorite music and just dance and start feeling good. And then I thought, that's it. I'll go to bed early and I'll get up early and I'm going to go for a walk to start with. But do you think it happened?
Girl, look, this is what I call my intention. I tell people all the time, a lot of time we all have good intention, and people don't understand. There's a chain of command. And I was talking to this about with my brother, right? Sometimes your intention is, hey, as a person, I'm going to get my workout. As a person, so then the baby has an issue. So now you're caught in the room with the baby, and then you have to get to work, and then you have to have, husband and wife time. Then you have, so there's so many things that you can have intention on, and say, I'm going to do. And sometimes it takes a second to get into a groove. So I always tell people, hey, don't beat yourself up. The universe, the laws of attraction will come into your life when you're ready to do the reset. And I always say things are either God used or God blessed. And God blessed is the things that I feel like are great that happen to you that naturally just happen. Yeah. The God used part is called, I didn't like for instance, the other day, I didn't like a show that I did because I had sinus stuff going on. And someone's like, do you smoke? I'm like, no, hell no. I'm like, I'm not smoking. I just sound like Johnny Gill because I don't have any, I'm just starting like barely my meds. And I mean, there's nothing I can do if I already have a show booked. I mean, it just is what it is. And I said, okay, next time I'm going to get my own sound man, or next time I'm going to get dancers, or next time, like you have to have a next time so you can make it greater and say, this wasn't what I wanted to be, but going forward it will be. Right.
So what led you to the actual bodybuilding part? How did that start?
I got tired of fluctuating. That was one thing. And the other thing, it's like, at a point, it was my will. I said, you know what? I'm one of those people where I've never done this before. I want to try it. And I get myself into trouble. Like I'll get back to the speech later. But anyway, I said, I'm going to put myself on blast on social media. So I have to follow through. So there'll be like, and she better step on that stage too. Because there's always one. I'm going to be watching to make sure she does it too. And I was like, ah. So I told everybody, I said, hey guys, and November, I'm going to be doing my first bodybuilding competition. And I remember telling people, and they were like, yeah, right, we're going to see, because, we've seen you in great shape, but we're going to see. Man, people said they came there like, oh, my God. I had no idea. You were serious, weren't you? I was like, I told you I was going to do it. I said, do you think if I put that on social media and put myself on blast that I was going to step off? I said, no, I had to. I made myself do it because I wanted to. So I was a size 2. And I had trained for 6 months. And when I did it, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know I could do this. People were so surprised. They were like, I actually got the, hey, your body looks banging. I was like, what, really? They were like, yeah, your body looks amazing. And I said, well, thank you. So,
yeah, and you just feel so good, don't you? So
you do, but you also have to remember that, you know what, it's all about the health to it. It's always nice to look nice, but don't let the ego get too much into it, because sometimes I think people can let the ego get so much into it you forget. Like, it's not all about the outer shell. If you got a pretty outer shell and the inside is ugly, then you're still ugly. So, it was more of the willpower and the being able to fit into what I wanted to, and looking great on stage from any angle, and those things felt great.
Yeah, I think for those who don't know what a size 2 is, we have in Australia, we have different sizing. I think it's about a size 10 here.
Okay.
So, which is really small. Like,
oh yeah, girl, them little pants. I went back later. I was like, dang, this fitting on one leg.
That's incredible. Oh my God, I'd love to get to a size 10. Oh, I want, well, size 2, yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to do this today after this. So,
I love it.
What's your typical, like, okay, I know this is bizarre. This wasn't going to be, because I had no idea what you were doing. Like I said, Eileen didn't tell me what you've been doing. So what do you eat? What's your typical day? Is this every 3 hours you eat a piece of protein or some protein?
Basically, once you start getting to a point that's every 2 to 3 hours, you're eating, and it's 5 to 6 times a day. You eat a small amount of meal, which would be your vegetables. And you want a healthy vegetable, not an empty vegetable. You want like an asparagus, you want like maybe some broccoli, that type of thing. Every once in a while they may mix up a little rice, but that's as things get in like a little bit more. You got to put a little bit of a carb in there, but usually it's 4 to 6 meals, 5 to 6 meals, I'm sorry, 4 ounces to 6 ounces of meat and your vegetable. Maybe be like a protein shake.
Yeah.
And then your workout. And once you get into a certain amount of time, you start doing 2-a-days. I remember they would be like, okay, you got to work out in the morning and at night. And I'm like, no, I'm busy.
Oh, wow.
They're like, get it in. And so I had to get some Beats by Dre and like really get it in. So I would come off a plane and they're like, I remember one time I came from New York and I was so mad because I was tired. And they were like, you have 8 miles of cardio. I said, are you serious right now? Oh. They're like, yes. I was like, I don't want to. They're like, too bad. Break it up. Do it. Get it handled. And I did it. But it was challenging. That's what I'm saying. It takes a lot of willpower for people to sacrifice and do that kind of life.
Yeah. Who helped you with this transition? Did you have a trainer?
Yes, I did. Clinton Fields, he helped me out, my guy, Jeff Heasy. And recently I started training with Yvonne Almonte. They call him Coach Almonte. And they were not playing with me. They were like, look, you have to do this, you have to do that. They would guide me when I was out of town and say, hey, make sure you do this workout when you're gone in the hotel or at a fitness area somewhere. And make sure you're eating this diet at this point.
Okay.
Because it's really weird what you think that they wouldn't want you to eat. They'd be like, add in this amount of food. You're like, but last week I was eating 1,200 calories. You're like, no, eat 2,000 calories. So I'm just giving that as numbers. That's not exactly what it was. But I'm just telling you, they fluctuate the eating process because they want you to gain and lose weight. And it's like different things speed up your metabolism. So that's why they do that.
Wow. That's going to be great just to have somebody to talk to and check in with when you're away. That's
definitely. And I feel like it keeps you accountable because, we're human. We're like, hey, did you do your workout? You're like, I'm going now.
Yeah.
Look, artists, we're a little bit rebellious sometimes. It's like, I'm going now.
I always think that there's a very close relationship between artists and chefs.
Right.
Just because, I know chefs, well, the chefs that I do know are very stubborn. They know what they want and they can be a little bit edgy. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but
no, that if you know what people get carb depleted, and when you deplete carbs, and I noticed that I did that. In fact, I told people, I said, I'm gonna be probably carb depleted. Let's have a safe word. They're like, what is it? I said pineapples when I'm being a bitch. I said, please. I said, just let me know when I'm getting on your nerves. I said, because I'm probably going to be slightly anal that day. Like,
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, hey, pineapples. I'm like, okay, I'm calming down, bringing it down now.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so that's what's coming up next is you're going to, I will get all the information as well, and I'll put this up on.
No problem. That's next. A keynote for my alumni. I'm going to be at my alma mater, Phoenix College, and they asked me to do the keynote, they said, for the graduation. So I'll be doing that as well.
Okay.
Coming up.
Okay. And of course, the other tracks that you just mentioned, they're out now, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will make sure I get hold of them and I'll put them up on the page as well. So anybody who's listening to this podcast, the links will be up on our Guest Talks page on Music Talks, so you can go and check them out. I just want to ask you another question, actually.
Sure.
How did you get to perform for Pope John Paul II?
That's so funny. That was great. Like, I did a project on Warner Brothers called Sisters of Glory.
Right.
And it was me, Thelma, Houston.
Mm-hmm.
It started off with me, Shaka Khan, Mavis Staples, and all that in a small room, and Thelma Houston, all in a small room in the Algonquin Hotel.
Wow.
150 people.
What a great group.
Right. In the Algonquin Hotel with 150 people that were specially invited.
Yeah.
They said, we love what you do. We'd like to, get you all Oh, and Phoebe Snow. Sorry.
Okay.
And so they got all of us together. They said, we'd like you to do another project. So it became me, Diane Reeves, Thelma Houston, Albertina Walker, Lois Walden. It was Mavis Staples. It was Thelma. It was, who else? So it was all of those. So all of us. And so we ended up doing that album, and they said, hey, we want you to, perform for the new Woodstock. So the new Woodstock, we ended up doing Good Morning America. Mm-hmm. It was epic. I have to tell you, and Phoebe and all that she was there with us too. That was epic. And then they said, hey, we would like to also for you guys to come perform with Pope John Paul, and Andrea Bocelli is going to be there for a Christmas program in Italy. It was in Italy. And I was like, yeah, hello, is that a question or? So we ended up going and doing that. And that was so epic because I always loved Andrea Bocelli, and just to meet the Pope was an honor. And they gave us a private audience with him. And he was like, came in, he talked to the people. He talked to us, and he's like, hey, bless you and your family, and gave us rosaries. And so when I tell you, those were some epic moments that were definitely within my archives. That was one of those.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say that would be a big one. Not many people have performed for the Pope. So, is there anything else that you would like to mention? Because what would you say to the new artists that are coming up now, those who are teenagers now or in their 20s even, trying to make a go of it? I mean, it's a completely different world, as we discussed earlier, but I mean, what advice would you give to them, like as far as how things are now, but what they should be doing? What would you say to them?
I would always say be true to self. Always be true to self. There's so many different people in this world doing music that people want to see the uniqueness of another individual. Be unique. Don't just do what you feel is out there. Start a trend. Become the genre. Create the genre. Like, you know what? I feel like gatekeepers are people who'll say, well, that's not how I would do it. Don't worry about how other people say that they're going to do it. Sometimes people live through other people in their dreams, and just, if you have a dream, be intentional in that dream and just do what you need to do, and be a visionary. Like I do vision boards on a regular basis every year. Allow yourself to dare to dream and follow your dreams. And that's it. It's not going to be easy. Yeah. You're going to get some no's, but use the no's to the yes. and stay focused.
Yeah. Yeah. The vision boards sound like a great idea.
Oh, yes. I love that. Yes.
Yeah. They say writing something down really helps.
Well, you know what I do? I actually go through, I do these boards every year. I've been doing it for the past 5 to 6 years. It's something I do on New Year's if I don't have a show. And if I have a show, I do it beforehand. My friends all know. They don't invite me nowhere no more because they're like, what are you doing? I said, you know what I'm doing? I'm in my pajamas and fuzzy slippers, and I'm doing my vision board. And when I tell you, I can look on there. And so a couple of things have come true. Last year, I put, the year before last, I put Bali on my vision board. I didn't know I was going to Bali. I just put Bali. Why was the next year I was in Bali in Jakarta for a week and I was riding elephants.
That's great.
I was riding elephants because I saw Eat, Pray, Love by Julia Roberts. And for me, it was a very spiritual thing that she went and traveled the world in her dreams. Another thing about talking about dreams. And I said, I want to do that. And my bestie, my gay girlfriend, B, he was like, why are you crying, girl? And I was like, because I said, this has been a spiritual dream for me to ride an elephant. And now we're here. So it's I appreciated that. So, those are my things. Stay focused. Always follow your dreams. It's possible.
Yeah. Great advice. Well, I've got to say thank you very much for this wonderful chat. I hope you get better soon. I was going to say, what do you do in your spare time? But I guess we know.
Well, actually, you know what? I do other things. No, not just that. I know you're probably going to laugh, but I'm a nerd. I like to bedazzle stuff. I like to create. I sew and create little show clothes sometime.
Yeah.
Cool. I had a swimwear line I was doing, was working on. What else?
So how long can we talk for? I mean, this is sounding more so many things that I just had no idea about.
We can keep talking. I got to about a quarter till if you do.
Yeah.
Okay. I started the swimwear line, and I didn't get a chance to totally finish. I was going to open up a boutique with it, and it was called So Unique because what I would do is repurpose broken jewelry and stuff like that, and I'd put it on bathing suits. I would do stuff like that because I was like, somebody else's trash is somebody else's treasure, and I was like, why throw it away when we can use perfectly good things to make something that would be totally individual to someone? So I like the idea of repurposing. That helps me to stay calm. And like I said, sometimes I'll take little stretch pants and I'll do rhinestones on them. Or I have a girlfriend of mine, we did these mink shoes, and cool. People are like, those things are so different. I'm like, well, that was an old jacket. Mink jacket had a stain, on it, and I cut the mink. They're like, you cut the mink? I was like, yeah, I put it on my feet.
Oh my God.
With cute toenails. So I do that, and I love to cook. I'm a person, I love to cook. I like to cook all the time or grill out. I spend time with friends and family and my poetry. So those are my, when I'm not doing anything type things.
Oh, wow. That sounds great. And do you have pets?
I do. I have a Chihuahua. Gigi! Her name is Gigi, and she is so, when I tell you she's so spoiled, she has these little steps that are by my bed, and she can hop up and hang out with me. And they're like, does the dog steps have designs on them? I said, yeah. She's 6 pounds. So that song that Drake did, CeCe, do you love me?
Oh yeah, right? yeah.
I'll do that with her. I'll be like, Gigi, do you love me? And my friend. So I thought about, I know it's going to sound funny. I said, I should probably take a picture with Gigi with a little two-scrolled on, and she has one on, and we start our own little Instagram page with her.
Oh, you have to. I have an Instagram page for my dog.
Oh, you do? I love it.
Okay,
you have to give it to me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you sound like a lot of fun.
Yeah, girl.
No, not afraid to just do whatever you want to do. Have fun with life.
Yeah, life is too short, and sometimes I've had friends that'll be like, they're like, well, you're getting up in age, I said, do what? I'm not going to be life's robot. I said, I don't have to follow the rules or.
No. What rules anyway? What are the rules?
Well, I think that sometimes when people think you're more mature, like, well, you can't show your legs like that. I was like, Tina Turner did. Why can't I? Madonna's not trying to hear that shit. I was like, she's doing what she's doing.
No, actually,
and she's doing it fly.
You're so right. And, there's this expectation that once, especially women, it's really bizarre. It's especially when women get to an older age, they're surprised if you see a woman running at the age of 60 or 70 or, working out. I mean, there was one lady that was on one of a current affair show here, and she said she got to 70 and she thought, I don't want to be one of those old women, with my back bent over holding one of these, pushy wheelie things just to walk around. Why? Why?
Pushy wheelie.
I can't. What's the name of that?
No, I love that because I feel like people should be more like that. Sometimes I feel like as women, we're hard on each other, and we need to stop that because, let people be who they want to be. I feel like, when you empower somebody to be greater and we empower each other and that people would talk more about their experience just as with getting more mature, I feel like that's when you help one another, and people don't do a lot of that.
Yeah.
They don't say, hey, I'm having an issue with this or that. Have you been dealing with this? Yeah. Well, okay. Well, what'd you do? You have to talk and have a better sisterhood than what some people do sometimes. So.
I think that's greater, and I think it's better once you get older. You have that.
Yes.
Yeah. I think when you're young, I don't know what happened then, but, that was a different lifetime ago. But, when you do get older as a woman, there is so much more support for women with each other. I think that's, and it's great. It's great. I used to say I'm going to age disgracefully. But
I like it.
Now I'm there. Like I am, it's happening. No, I'm not sticking to that. I will do anything I can to make sure that, I stay in the best possible way, shape or form I possibly can. So, hence this fitness thing that, it's great hearing you talk about all that because, that's where I'm at right now. I'm at that changing point where I've got to get back to, yeah.
Well, girl, I love it. Well, I'm definitely going to be doing more of a journey. I have some more time home. I'd kind of been going for about 3 months, so we can keep each other accountable, girlfriend.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it like, hey, girl, I'm going to DM you. You get your workout. You're going to be like a little kid, like, I don't want to.
So, so that would definitely be great. You'll see, it'll be around September, so you'll start seeing a little gradual change of things. Like I said, I'm not competing, but I'll be there as an ambassador just for those things. And the great thing is, a friend of mine, I have to put this in there because this is so amazing what happened. She had a dream of doing, bodybuilding. She's a power lifter, and she just, created, a world record and passed her own world record. I was her sponsor. And so the story was, I was her sponsor. I said, look, I'll be your sponsor. What do you need? I need shorts. I need food prep. I need this. I need that. Okay. She would go, and now she's 17 medals in.
Wow.
Winning.
17?
And so I'm going to bring 17 medals in. I call her the platform queen. I think, in fact, she might be at 19. But I think she might be at 19. She just broke her own world record again. And she's going to be following along with me to the Olympia too. But it's so great because she is a winner, and she said, thank you for believing in me. I was like, yeah, now look, because you wanted to do it. I said she just needed that little extra from somebody else. And I need those things from people. So, hey, girl power. We need to do better.
Yeah,
ladies.
yeah. I thought that maybe I'd need to phone someone who's willing enough to come and actually drag me out my front door and push me, up, because I've got a really steep hill. I live in an area, and I don't know if this is an excuse or not. I don't know, maybe it is. I live in an area where my house isn't on the street. We're really lucky. We're very private, so no one can see the house, which is great. So we're down a private driveway. But to walk up the driveway is like climbing a mountain.
Wow.
So, and I remember actually a friend of mine who, unfortunately, he passed away way too young. Oh, there's the dog.
Yeah, she decided to show up. Gigi, sorry about that. Stop it. Get out, Gigi. Girl, get out, because she's going to keep back barking at you. Get out. She's like, get out right now. Girl, she's like, get out, Gigi. Stop it. That's enough.
If I didn't have my headphones on and my dogs could hear that, they'll all be joining in right now.
Hey. You're going to get, do I have to get my magazine? Huh? Sit down. So look, I only threaten her with it. I don't even really, she sees it, me start rolling it up, she'll sit down. I don't even have to tap her with it. She's like, no, mommy. So
I'm cracking up here. Sorry, I'm absolutely in hysterics.
So you're saying basically the driveway is the workout in itself?
Well, yeah, no, I had a friend who said to me, this is many years ago, he said, all you need to do is walk up this hill 6 times a day and you're done.
Oh, God, look, that's the best, right?
It's a workout, but, you know, it definitely is, yeah. So I do need to do that, you know. Yeah, so one other question I just thought of. You said you had a record label.
Yes.
You still have that?
Yes, it's called CeCe Peniston.
Okay.
And
so
I like that because I get to be my own boss.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And do you sign? Do you choose artists to sign to your label?
You know what? The reason I haven't done that yet, because someone else asked me about that, and I said when an artist is still doing what they're doing for themselves at a height of a career, I don't think that they should take on somebody else because it's selfish. I think that you should do it when it's like, you know what? I'm good on my time. If I go out here and there, that's fine. But I've created enough of a team for this person for them to be able to succeed.
Right. Okay.
You know, that's why I haven't done it yet, because I'm still traveling so much and stuff. Like once I sit down some, then I'll be like, hey, let me hand the torch over to you. You go ahead and do it. You know, then I'm open.
Have you seen other artists that have absolutely blown you away?
Fantasia's one of those people.
Right. So if you saw an artist, would you ever consider taking them under your wing as like a mentor and signing them to your label?
You know what? I would definitely take someone under my wing, and if I can't do something, I'm not the type of person. If I can't do it, then I'm not going to do anything at all.
Yeah.
I might go to a partner of mine and say, "Hey, I think this person would be a great fit for you. Okay. I think I don't have the time to do it right now, but I think this is something you should definitely look at and maybe sign them to a deal."
Yeah, yeah.
And I would be around and to help. But I wouldn't be the main person taking care of the money part. Yeah. Because also being your own label, you got to pay that money.
Man.
You got to make sure that you got the money bags together, because they will get you.
Yeah, yes, and it's just so much more than singing and songwriting, isn't it? It's just such a business.
Oh, girl, it really is.
Yeah. We all sigh. Listen to us both. We're both sighing, going, oh, do we want to go here?
Girl, it's planning your dates ahead. It's like me, even if I'm doing pieces or I wear a lot of different pieces, you have to have your pieces maintenance. I have to say, what kind of gig is this going forward? I may have to have the seamstress make something. I may have to go get in touch with dancers. I may have to get in touch with the DJ way in advance to say, hey, are you available here? Or a band, here's my tracks. And so it's like there's a lot more planning to this that you have to do than just get on the stage and sing. And that's the part when I say sometimes it can be a little stressful, but if you love it and once you're up on the stage, then you go, okay, this is why.
Yeah, absolutely. And they say that those that make it look really easy are often the ones that are working their butts off, behind the scenes.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Because people are like, you always seem so put together. I said, well, trust me, I have to plan those things. I said, I know that right now, like, for instance, if I have sound check, I know people are like, well, it's just sound check. I'm like, well, I don't really care, because people want to take pictures at sound check. And you want to have great pictures as much as possible when you go viral and you do stuff. I said, be an artist. That's what you signed up for. Look like an artist. That's just part of the process. You don't get to just say, I'm going to change up all of a sudden in the middle of stuff. And so I bring it down and I'll put a hat to the back. They're like, wait a minute, do you have on high tops right now and a hat? I'm like, yeah. But I still got lashes and lipstick on too, so you know.
Yeah, we always need a little bit of something on the face, I think. You got to have your... Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, a girl asked me that at the concert day. She said, what are the two things you have? I said, I have to have lip gloss and lashes. If everything else is not on, that's fine. But those two items have to be on. That's it.
Okay, yeah.
There's no negotiable. It don't even have to be eyeliner, but my lashes got to be on. Like, hi, honey. Stop, brat. Look, stop. Yeah. She's trying to fight with me right now and hop on my hands.
I've got a little dog as well, but she's actually asleep at the moment right near me. So, or he. I got two dogs, yeah.
Yeah, this one wants to bite my hands and stuff, so.
Okay, thank you so much, CeCe. It's been a blast talking to you. I've absolutely loved it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm really excited about it. Thanks for having me on the show.
That's fine. For anybody who is listening to the podcast on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or YouTube, don't forget to go to the Guest Talks page and check out all the links that we've got there from what we've been talking about in the whole podcast. Thank you, CeCe.
Thank you.
It's been great talking with you.
Likewise, and have a beautiful day. Talk soon.
Guest Talks with Tracy Arbon, bringing you special guest interviews from musictalks.xyz.